frequencies.
Welcome.
Tilt it a little bit.
There we go. How does that?
Yeah.
Scooch in. All right, you guys. Long story short, we couldn't get the live working on Ryan's phone, so we're just gonna do it on mine. And we should have you be the star. There you go. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for checking in. Yes, Chris.
Why don't you still
Since you're
record it to Ryan's phone, and then we can figure out how to get it up there.
We could try and do that. Yeah, as we're live, why don't we just start recording?
Okay.
So this is the issue that we have with my phone. As soon as I start doing Instagram lives, they delete after 30 minutes. So, or not 30, sometimes it's 45 minutes. And because I've been doing this with my private group member people, and they disappear. Which is why we've been trying to get on Ryan's phone. So why don't
What about questions?
Oh, questions. Dang it.
Let's just do it.
Everyone just pray that this doesn't get lost. If it gets lost, we have 2 podcasts with him. We're recording a 3rd. Go and listen to those. Introduce yourself.
I'm Ryan, building biologist, electrical engineer.
Did you guys even know that was a thing? Building biology. Like, why? Because buildings are toxic.
They are.
Right?
Yes.
So,
and we spend a lot of time in them, so it's important to have our buildings healthy.
So Ryan told me that we spend like 95% of our time inside buildings, which isn't great, especially if our buildings are toxic for us because of EMFs and chemicals and mold and all that jazz. So we got a bunch of questions from you guys. If you have no idea what EMFs are, basically, Ryan's the technical guy where he's like, EMFs isn't a thing, it's 3 different things. So there's electrical, electrical fields, magnetic fields, and there is radio frequencies, correct?
Yeah, you got it.
So electrical fields is everything that's like in your house that powers everything. So that emits it's like if you were trying to measure electrical fields with like a radio frequency meter, it would be like trying to compare apples to oranges. So they're different in that sense. So you have to have like an electrical field meter to test electrical fields, and the same with magnetic. You have to have machines to measure magnetic fields, and then you have to have machines to measure radio frequencies all separately. Correct?
Correct, very good.
Okay, there you go. I've been learning about this a lot in the past 6 months. So your guys' questions, I think we need to hash out first 5G.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
So Ryan's barely looking at your questions now, but there's been a lot of questions about 5G, especially since the whole COVID thing hit, and there was a lot of, I would say, misrepresentation of 5G causing COVID and all that jazz. So why don't you jump in and tell people about the dangers of 5G, because you were telling us like we're kind of over exaggerating this a little bit, and we're all freaking out about 5G when there are worse things in our homes. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so 5G is certainly dangerous, but it's no different than the frequencies that we have around us all the time already. In fact, the higher band of the 5Gs are called the millimeter bandwidth, are the same frequencies that you use in the grocery stores to open the automatic doors. And so those frequencies have been around for years and years and years. They're just repurposing them and using them for cellular data communication because we need more bandwidth. And so when we're talking about EMF and the dangers of EMF and 5G, it's the same thing that we're talking about with our 4G cellular phones. It's our Wi-Fi, it's your microwave, your Bluetooth. It's all dangerous. And so to just focus and be worried about 5G, you're missing some of the other important stuff in your house.
Exactly. So the whole thing with the COVID, like 5G causing COVID, we were talking about this last night, and here's the thing, is there are some very legitimate concerns when it comes to EMFs, but we've kind of taken EMFs and we've turned it into this like mega demon, which is now like people that, if you believe in the real science around EMFs, but someone who's exploring EMFs is only exploring the part where we've mega demonized it, then they feel like, okay, this is bogus, and now everyone is discredited. Like, do you want to go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. So the way that the EMFs affect you on 5G and electromagnetic fields is they weaken our immune system. They cause a number of different issues, but as far as COVID is concerned, they make us not as healthy, and so they weaken our immune, make it so we can't fight off the infection. COVID is a real disease. It's not created by 5G. And so when you read these kind of things on the internet, you start to think this stuff's way out in left field, and so you kind of discredit all of the EMFs, which is wrong to do that. EMFs are dangerous, but it's not caused by 5G. So,
what are some things in our home that we have that are actually worse than 5G?
Well, the cell phones, right? You're holding it up to your ear. You're getting a major dose from that.
Can you guys hear me, by the way? Will you give me thumbs up? If you guys have questions, just post them here, all right? Because I'm seeing a lot of you guys jump on. So post your questions, even though we have like 50 questions. But can you hear us? Thumbs up, awesome. Okay, fantastic.
Okay, good.
Okay, so there's worse things than what we're being supposed to.
There is, yeah.
So if we're having like a 5G tower outside of someone's house, it's only really bad when your phone is trying to attract that 5G, correct?
Right.
So yeah, it's creating some kind of magnetic field, but it's not blasting you until your phone draws it to you. Is that correct?
That's one of the features of the millimeter wave, the new 5G technology, is that it will actually form a beam to you or to whoever's using it. And they do that to save power and energy and bandwidth. So if you're not using 5G, if you have a tower out in front of you and you're not using your phone to connect to that 5G tower, it's not beaming to you. And it also, the house, the trees, the walls, that stuff will block the higher bandwidth of the 5G. There's two different bandwidths. There's the lower bandwidth, and that's what our 4G phones are using, and 3G. That's the technology that's been around for the last 10, 15 years. And then there's the higher frequencies, and that's the millimeter band frequencies. And that's only being deployed in the downtown areas, the bigger urban areas, and we're starting to see it in some of the neighborhoods now. But if you live out in the rural, out in the country, you're dealing with the traditional 4G frequency, and that acts just like it has in the last 15 years. Nothing's changed there. It's just the way that the data is sent through the air is different.
So what about like cell phone towers outside of schools and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Like how concerned should we be about that?
Yeah, that's pretty bad to put. I mean, I think that's almost borderline child abuse to put these cell towers right next to schools, because it affects your cognitive abilities, your thinking, brain fog, headaches. And so to have a cell tower right next to a school is really harmful. If you're within a half mile to a quarter mile of a cell tower, you're getting effects from it. But what's worse is these phones right here that are in your pocket, that are next to your head, that are in your kid's lap that you're using as babysitters. When they're on and they're transmitting, you're getting more power coming off this cell phone than you are being next to a cell tower.
So I hope you guys got that. Like, it doesn't, like, if you're right next to that cell tower, it doesn't matter, because this phone is a mini cell tower in your hand, by your head, on your chest, and on our little kids too. Like, how many hours do you think our kids are watching shows on our cell phones, right? And they're growing at accelerated rates. So their cellular, what's the word I'm looking for? Reproduction or production is at such a fast pace, and any kind of interference with that can be really dangerous. So you guys, that's why I always tell my clients, when you're not using your phone, put it at least 20 feet away from you, and put it in airplane mode, or put it in airplane mode. But also make sure the Bluetooth is off, that the Wi-Fi, if you're in your home, use the Wi-Fi. Would you say the Wi-Fi is less than the cell phone tower?
Yeah, it is.
So get calls through the Wi-Fi in your house and switch off the cell phone tower thing. Do you want to show people what that looks like on the phone?
Yeah, so on
you can show it up on the camera there.
Yeah, hold on. So on a Samsung here.
Can they see it? Oh no, there.
Oh, there it is.
And I'll get Tristan's phone too, so I can show.
So you just hit airplane mode right there, and it turns it on airplane mode. If you have Bluetooth on, then you need to turn the Bluetooth off by doing that. But that's from Samsung. Once you hit airplane mode, it will turn Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on if you have a Samsung. If you have an Apple, then...
So you see everything's on right now. Like, we're blasting X amount, 2X, 3X, right? Yeah. So we've got like triple blasting.
So if you don't hit airplane mode first and you just hit the blue one, see how it goes white? They're still active, they're just not connected. So you're still blasting out Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So what you need to do is hit airplane mode. Then see how it goes? It's crossed out.
And then
Yeah. So now it's off. So it's blacked out and it's crossed off. That means it's on. So you want to see all three of these blacked out and crossed off. Then you know your phone's not transmitting.
so I hope that's clear. So when you are done using your phone, you just bring it down and put it on airplane mode. Oops. Put it on airplane mode. It's on airplane. Be careful. When it's on airplane mode and those blue icons are on, you are blasting yourself, okay? So make sure, because sometimes I do that when I'm like listening to something, and I'm like, okay, bedtime, I put on airplane mode, and then I wake up and like I've been blasting myself with Wi-Fi all night, and I'm like, no! So make sure you are switching everything off completely, all right? Let's see. Yes, I always turn my airplane mode on at night. Perfect. What if you turn your phone off at night? Even better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Could you please leave on your history? I'm going to try and save this, you guys. I promise. There are podcast episodes that we've done with Ryan too. I love how we're like talking like this at you guys. So there are podcast episodes. Pray to the Insta gods that this live does not get deleted, because in the past my Instagram lives keep deleting for some reason. So I really, really hope this is going to be saved in my lives. We're talking about AirPods next. So we're going to ruin your day. Please tell us about AirPods.
Yeah.
They're so bad.
So AirPods will transfer from your phone up to one earpod, and then from that earpod will transfer through your brain to the other one. So
Through your brain.
Literally sending high frequency electromagnetic waves through your head to the other one.
So
we're talking pretty high levels.
It would be like doing this, all right? We already tell ourselves to do this, and now you're doing this, right?
Yeah, even worse, because from here it's going here to the tower. The AirPod is going through your head from one AirPod to the other.
Keep telling them. I'm giving Tristan his phone back.
Yeah.
So it's not good, guys.
Yeah, so the levels on the AirPods are pretty high. And so another problem with the AirPods is that they're constantly transmitting. So even if you're not making a phone call and they're in your head and you're waiting for a phone call, they're still transmitting, they're still connected to your phone, and they're still connecting to each other. And they send beacon signals back and forth constantly. So you're radiating yourself for no reason using them in your head.
And just so that they can look cool, right? Like, just use the old grandma cords, and you know, like, yeah, you lose a few like coolness points, but that's okay, because your brain is still like really healthy.
We're trying to make it cool to be healthy.
Right,
So
exactly.
That's a new cool, be healthy.
Okay, let me see if we're missing questions. I sleep with Bluetooth headphones on. Hannah, do not do that anymore. Okay, like, promise me tonight that that's the last time you do it. So I'll be honest, like, I listen to audiobooks to go to sleep, but I do it with cords. All right, so get the old-fashioned grandma cords. All right. How many of you are either returning your AirPods or you're throwing them away? Because I want to see a thumbs up. Because they're not good. Like, you know, we're worried about 5G, and we freak out about 5G with our AirPods in our head. Okay, those AirPods are worse than the 5G. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, much worse. Yeah, 5G is nothing compared to the AirPods you're putting directly in your head, right next to your brain.
Okay, so
so that's a good example of something that you should be more worried about over 5G.
Exactly.
But yeah, they're all bad. It's all teeth on a shark, but you got to look at them all together. All this stuff is bad.
Someone said, just got a pair today. That's great, because you still have a receipt and you're going to return them, right? So other things that are worse than 5G. I remember when you were testing. So you guys, Ryan tests homes, all right? He came in December and spent all day testing like the chemicals and the mold and the EMFs and all of that. And we found a few things in our home that were worse than 5G. One of them was is it the Amazon Kindle, or is it a Fire upstairs? I don't even know.
Yeah, I think it was a Fire. It was the USB that was plugged into the back of the TV.
Yes.
That emits a lot of frequency, a lot of power coming from those.
Is that higher than 5G?
It depends on how close you are to it.
Okay. So what about all the Alexas in our homes?
Yeah, and there's other issues that are bad with Alexa. I call those the government data collection devices.
You
So they're listening devices.
Yeah, but like in comparison to like 5G, is like 5G here and Alexa here.
Again, it depends on how close you are to them. If you have Alexa right next to your bed where you sleep, which a lot of people do, then yeah, it's worse than 5G.
Okay,
It's all about distance and how close you are to it.
So how far do you need to be from Alexa?
Alexa starts dying off in the normal background in a normal community at about 20 feet or so.
Okay.
But see, in your house up here, or more in the mountains, the background levels here are a lot lower. And so having Alexa in the house will throw the levels off when you're in a place like this. But when you're in townhomes or you're in the city and you got a bunch of homes around you, your background, there's only so low you can get your radio frequency exposure because you got to deal with the background levels.
What's a background level?
So
explain it to me like I'm 5.
the background levels, just all the cell phones, the towers, everybody's Wi-Fi out around you that's combined, that's kind of
So
immersing you from all directions.
Background noise.
Background noise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's
you're
like if
still
you're
blasting
if you were in a restaurant and you had 100 people talking and you have that chatter, that's your background noise in a city. Let's say you're out in a park and there's only 5 people spread out. The background noise is going to be much lower. That's like where you live out here,
Okay.
out of town.
All right, so there's good, better, best, you guys. If you live in townhomes, like it's best to switch things off at night, put things on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, as much as you can lower your exposure, turning things off, the better off you are.
There you go. What if you turn off Wi-Fi at night? Fire Stick still emits?
It does, because it's looking for the signal. So it's trying to connect, saying, where's my signal? Where's the router at? And so it's sending a beacon signal out.
What about Xboxes and video consoles and all of that?
Xboxes, we can't turn the Wi-Fi off on those. You can hardwire them, but they still emit out a Wi-Fi signal. So you actually have to either turn those, unplug them, or put them on a timer switch so they'll shut off automatically.
There's a remote, like a gaming remote control, that is wireless upstairs that controls our little like screen TV up there, and it emits a radio frequency, and so every time we're done using it we have to take the batteries out because there's no way of turning off its radio frequency because it's searching, right? It's searching for devices to send its signal to. So the best way that we've learned is we just take batteries out. When we're done with TVs, we unplug them. We don't have Alexa. We're pretty old school here. What else? What were some of the, people want to know what are some devices they can buy to measure their own homes that are like under $150?
So I wouldn't really recommend anything under that. The lowest I'd recommend is about $370 for an RF meter, and there's a good magnetic meter one.
The one that I have, how much is that one?
So I guess that one's a pretty good one. It doesn't have the numbers on it, it just gives you color indication.
Yeah.
And that one's about $150.
I'm gonna go grab it. Keep telling people about machines, where they can buy them. Remember you guys, there's 3 different frequencies, like not frequencies, but there's electric, there's magnetic, and there's radio frequency. So you can't get a radio frequency meter and try measure electric, and you can't get an electric one and try measure magnetic. All right, like that you have to do apples with apples, oranges with oranges, strawberries with strawberries. Okay, so I'm going to show you my radio frequency one. It's 150. It does the job though, so I'll be right back. But tell them about machines.
Yeah, and so what we've been talking about with all this stuff so far has been radio frequency. And so how to know the difference between the two? If you're transmitting data through the air, either through Bluetooth or your cell phone or a wireless camera or AirPods, if you're sending data over the air, it's radio frequency, and that's how you know the difference. If it's in the wiring in your walls, then that's electric field, and if it's a device that's using power, like a blender or a fan, that's going to be magnetic fields.
So we should unplug Alexa at night? Yes. This go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that you don't need to get rid of all of the technology, you just need to do this technology safely. And so Alexa, some people use it to play music, some people use it to control their lights, some people use it for their alarm clock. Just find other ways to accomplish these things.
Exactly.
It's not the technology that's bad, it's the radio frequency that's blasting through the air, that's changing the ions and the electrons in the air, that's inducing currents in our bodies. That's the bad part.
Right.
That's what we're trying to get away from.
And we're supposed to be sleeping a third of our lives. Why do we need to have all of this on while we're sleeping, right? Like, it can wait until you're done. So I know you guys are gonna think I'm heartless, and I'm really sorry, but everyone asks me this. They're like, well, what if there's an emergency in the middle of the night? and this is my answer, and I'm sorry if you hate me, but I'm like, if there's an emergency, like let's say your dad is in the hospital or someone died, would you really want to know at 2 a.m. when you're exhausted? Or what do you want, like a good night's sleep and then get the same news and you still have, like, your actionable like efforts are the exact same. And so like whether you get the news at like 2 or whether you get it at 6 a.m, like either way, you slept well. And now you're gonna like embark on a really bad day. So.
And if you don't like that answer, I have another choice for you.
But again, like that happens to people like twice in their lives, right? Or 3 times in their lives, maybe 5. You know, but why? Okay, tell me.
I've run into this a lot. They have teenage kids out, or
that too, yeah.
There's other stuff. So you can get a landline pretty cheap these days. So Uma for $6.99, OOMA.
OOMA.
Yep. And you plug a little box. You buy it for $50. You plug it into your router, and you get to pick out your own phone number, and it's $6.99 a month. It's like there's a happy meal right there. It's
there you go.
And so then you can actually have the landline. Don't get a cordless phone though with it, because then you defeat the purpose. Make sure you get a hard line phone that you plug into it with an actual cord. Then you can have that, so if someone needs to call you or contact you. And the good thing about that is then when you get home and you're spending time at your house, you can actually forward your cell phone to that number and then just shut your phone off completely. Then you don't have to worry, because this really is the biggest source of EMF radiation that you're going to have in your life. Right. So the more you can get away from this and turn this thing off, the better off you're going to be. So get a landline, then when you get home, forward your cell phone to the landline. That solves a lot of the problems right there. So
Satori's joined us. She might ask some questions as well. But this is my little meter. Where can people buy this?
We have them on our website.
So this is the least fancy. So testmyhome.com, right? I think Sam posted it on here. You guys just testmyhome.com/shop. All right, no baby, I know. So this does the job really well without all the bells and whistles. So all I have to do is, whoopsie. So it's just color coded. Now, do you see how it's flashing?
That's because
so it's saying extreme.
You shut the cell phone on and it's transmitting pretty powerful.
Yep. So it says here slight, slight. And do it like this. You guys see me? Slight, moderate, high, extreme. Do you see how it's flashing? It's saying, hey, this is really extreme. So I'm gonna bring it back a little bit further. You see how far I have to be, and it's still extreme. Okay, now it stopped flashing. Now it's flashing again. Is your phone on?
Yeah, now you're getting close to my phone.
Okay, so why don't you turn your phone off?
Okay.
Because we want to show you like how far you need to be. Like, can you imagine just blasting yourself? You missed the landline tip. So UMA, OOMA, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, and then what does it do?
It just provides you a landline that you can have calls all the time without any EMF. But like I mentioned, make sure that you get a hard line. Don't get a cordless phone, because then you defeat the whole purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're still, is your phone off now?
It is on airplane mode. Yeah.
Okay, so we're still flashing. And it could also be because my Wi-Fi router is right there too. And I can't switch that off, otherwise Instagram would explode on me.
Yeah.
So anyways, this room we're just blasting ourselves right now. And it's saying extreme. That's not nice when it like flashes at you. Can you imagine if it had a sound where it's like, yeah. This one's sound is broken. But that's probably good, because I have really high anxiety about these things. So there you go.
And it's good to get one of these to learn about our RF fields, and so you can know what the levels are. When you're driving, you can see them going up and down when you pass by cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
When you're in a waiting room, or if you're at a hotel, a restaurant, you can see what the levels are. You can start to equate that with how you feel. You'll start to notice that, hey, I feel certain symptoms when this thing is flashing, and when it's green, I start to feel a little better.
So Tristan has to like stop my use of this. He's like, okay, I think it's time to put the meter away for a few months. And then I'm like, okay, as I'm like shaking. This like EMS is one of those things. It's a very empowering conversation. It's very eye-opening, and in the beginning, it can be a little anxiety-inducing. You just have to like push through that, all right? Because you get a little overwhelmed, because it's like learning a new language that you didn't realize you had to learn. And so I'm about to fall over. So other questions were, let's see. We're gonna look. If you guys have questions here, I'm gonna scroll and see if I missed any. The question about the teenagers at night, I just assume when you have teenagers, you just don't sleep. you mentally and emotionally implode.
So I have a question here. Buying a house near electrical lines, is this a problem? How far is safe in cell towers? So we run into this a lot. We measure the towers, and I've just done a couple recently where I had to mail them out a meter to see exactly. And what we're finding out is if you're pretty much about 100 yards away, you're going to be safe. And that's kind of a safe bet to kind of go by. If you're within that 100-yard range, then we're going to need to send you a meter. You could buy one, and you're going to need to test it yourself to find out. Because if your levels are high from a power line, that's pretty serious. The magnetic fields that come off of those are pretty strong, and the electric fields. And I've unfortunately done a lot of tests in homes where people are living under those, and they have some pretty serious health issues.
Would you say all power lines are different? Like some don't do a massive electric field? Would it be an electric field or
electric and magnetic?
And magnetic.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have a large magnetic and electric field, and then some others do?
Yes, and it totally depends on how much power is being drawn. So if it's a main line that's feeding your whole town, it's obviously going to be a much stronger field than if it's just your local power lines in your neighborhood.
So basically just you have to get it tested because they're all different.
But if you're 100 yards away, you're probably fine.
Also, you guys, for all the newbies, there's a lot of you new guys hopping on. Ryan tests homes. So he's a building biologist. He can come, he can test your home. What are the areas that you're testing? Because some people are asking about Arizona. Do you go to Arizona, or is that too far for you?
You know, we're actually getting a lot of interest in Arizona, and I used to live in Arizona. I got a lot of family there, so we're always looking for an excuse to go there. So if we had 5, 6, 7 people lined up that made it worthwhile, we'd probably go down there for a week and do a bunch of assessments.
So get like your friends, your families. I mean, you could even just like do a blurb out like, hey, thinking about coming to Arizona, and then people can like start signing up.
Yeah.
And so maybe you can do like a different state every month or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were thinking.
Okay.
So we come down to the Salt Lake area about once a month. It slowed down a little bit because of COVID, but before that we've been doing it every month. I'm here for this week.
California?
That's another one I wouldn't mind going to. Spend a little time on the beach. That'd be fun. Make a vacation out there.
So if you're in California,
yeah.
Probably Nevada. You live in Idaho. Probably Colorado. Do you ever do East Coast stuff? If there's enough.
You know, I do commercially. So I do a lot of commercial stuff. That's what I've done for a lot of years, doing electromagnetic engineering for big companies, big industrial places. And I do travel for that kind of work, but that's a different level of stuff.
I keep looking at the meter that Satori put over there, and it's now in high. So it's like, how many feet would you say? Like 10 feet from us?
It's about 10 feet away.
It's 10 feet, and it's still at high.
Yeah.
Like we're still being blasted.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that, and that's why I'm like, that's why the machine goes away for some periods of time. And then I bring it out a couple times a month, and because when you realize like how we are just, you know, all these smart homes where everything's automatic, lights are automatic, like things turn on by your voice. Like it's funny, I actually did a family all at once. The kids, the husband, the wife, and all of them on my hair analysis showed really high priority for EMFs. And they had bought one of these like incredible, beautiful, like smart homes. And so I think they have now like undone all of that so that it's been so now it's a low EMF home and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but it's really interesting that the hair analysis shows that.
Yeah, I got some questions here.
Go ahead.
Do magnetic fields vary with fan speed? That's a good question, and kind of how to answer that in general is that the more power that's being used, the bigger the field's going to be. So if you have a blender that's on high, that's spinning using a lot of power, it's going to be about a 5 or 6 foot magnetic field. If you have like a ceiling fan in a bathroom, it might be a little bit of a smaller field. So it totally depends on how much power and amperage is being used and consumed, and that's what creates the magnetic field.
Someone was asking about smartwatches.
They're kind of similar to AirPods. They're emitting a lot of frequency and energy right onto your arm, so it can affect your blood and you know where you have the watch on you.
I've actually had clients who get burned by their Apple Watch,
yeah, that's fairly common.
And they get pain in their arm from it. So everyone is just different. All right, it's just not good. I mean, it's like having multiple cell phones in you all the time, just emitting information. So don't do it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh, there's all kinds of
there's like 50 questions.
We could be here all night. Really.
So I want to see how much time we have. How long have we been going? Sorry, guys. I keep doing the awkward, like, hi thing. It's not telling me our time, so I have no idea. But we've probably been going for like 30 minutes.
Do EMF blocking clothes work? And actually, they do work. We're not talking about the pendants or the stickers or none of that. The actual clothing that has silver cloth in it or fiber cloth, that works pretty good. I will say one thing about the caps though. So if you're wearing a cap, those fabrics will actually act like reflectors. So if you're holding your phone here in your face, doing your thing, and you have one of those caps on, what it's doing is going through your head, through your face, hitting the cap, and then bouncing back through your head. So you're actually making it worse. So if you are going to be wearing clothing, you don't want to be using any kind of devices next to you, because if any kind of opening you have in your body, the radio frequency is going to go in, then it's going to bounce around. And so the shielding, you got to look at it just like a mirror, just like a light. So that's how you got to think about the clothing and the shielding.
So you want to hear something funny? You're going to laugh at me. My sauna, my clear light sauna, it's EMF protected for all three of them. And I know that when I go in there with my phone and my phone is on, I can like even visualize the bouncing around, because it's basically like a tin box, right? It's got these protectors in there, and then I put my phone in and it's pulling in a frequency and it's bouncing around in the sauna. So if you have a smart sauna like that where it's EMF protected, and like don't take your phone in there or put your phone on airplane mode and do that. Or just don't take your phone in there because it's going to fry from the heat.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have another good question here.
Yeah.
So what proof do we have that EMFs are harmful? I find contradicting truth everywhere. So one place that you can start is the Bioinitiative report. They have over 1,500 different studies, peer-reviewed studies from scientists and doctors and colleges over the last 30 years that they've compiled together. And you can actually sort through different types of symptoms, different types of EMFs, different types of studies. But that's a really good place to start. Another good place you can look at is right on the FCC website, on the EPA website, on the NIOSH website. That's the National Institute for Safety and Health. On OSHA's website, they all have standards for what they consider to be safe levels. Now, of course, there's a lot of disagreement on what is a safe level and what is a harmful level. On one end, we have the FCC saying that 10 watts of power is where you start to cook and fry and basically burn from the inside out. And then you have the Building Biology Institute on the other end of it saying less than 1 microwatt is what's considered safe and healthy. And then you have ranges all in between there. So there's no debate at all about whether this is healthy or not. The debate is at what level is it healthy and at what level is it unhealthy for you. And that's something that you need to decide and what's safe for your family. It's kind of like, do you want to smoke a pack of cigarettes a day or 1 cigarette a day or a whole carton of cigarettes a day? And that's the choice that you need to make. And so it's proven known that it's unhealthy for you. All of the agencies agree with it.
It's kind of like, correct me if I'm wrong with this analogy, but like the USDA, their My Plate, their recommendation is 5 fruits and vegetables a day. So it's like they can have 5 servings of either fruits or veggies, or like half fruits, half veggies. Whereas my standard is 8 servings of vegetables a day and then like 2 to 4 servings of fruit. So my standard is different to what the USDA standard is, because I think they're bought and paid for by big companies who don't really have your long-term health at heart. So is it the same? Where it's just different standards, different, like, well, you'll stay alive for the next few years, whereas other people are measuring by like, well, we want you to stay alive for the next 100 years.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And with any government-regulated industry, you have a balance between how safe is it versus how much are we going to get sued, how many people are going to get hurt, how much business is it going to hurt, is it going to hurt the economy? So if you drop the cell phone standards really low, you're going to have to redo all the equipment, you're going to have a lot of industries that can't communicate, and so you have to have a balance there from their standpoint. From my standpoint, from health and what I want to expose my family to, I'm going to go with the bare minimums. But that's a choice that everybody can make for themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me see what other questions. I tested high for EMF in my hair analysis, still can't figure out why. Router off at night, airplane mode, not near a cell phone tower. What other hidden things could it be?
So it could be electric fields from your house. That's another big one that a lot of people don't think about because they're so worried about 5G and cell tower stuff. But the electric fields in your house are really important. And so for my house where we live, we turn the circuits off at night in our sleeping areas so that when we sleep, we're in 0 electric fields. And that's a really important one that can cause a lot of damage to your body. Also, when we did your house, we find you had a magnetic field that was going underneath her bed. So she had current that was getting onto the grounding system and grounding to the water pipe. And we had to disconnect that and provide a new grounding system that wasn't running underneath her bed. Because where she was sleeping was a high magnetic field. So it had nothing to do with radio frequency or cell phones or anything, but it was a very high exposure level to the EMF. And that would be the M part of the EMF, the magnetic fields.
Perfect. What are the physical side effects of EMFs?
That's different for everybody. Everybody reacts differently to them and they have different symptoms. I would say some of the most common ones that I run across are probably sleeping disorders, headaches, anxiety, irritability, tinnitus. Those are probably some of the more immediate symptoms. Some of the more long-term symptoms are cancer. I've also seen people with digestional issues because of it.
I would say the majority of my people they're just tired. They're just really exhausted.
The fatigue, the brain fog, the ADHD, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Really
I noticed when Ryan came, it was really interesting because he came, he like cleared out our house and he's like, I have clients tell me that after I do this, they actually start dreaming. I hadn't dreamt in like years, like maybe 3 dreams a year or something. So he came, he did his thing, I wasn't dreaming. We missed one thing, and we have an, what is it called? Sleep by number mattress, which has an EMF built into the mattress, and we missed it. And so the second time around when he came to our house and we switched that off, I started dreaming. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And it wasn't like one dream like a month, it was like dreams multiple times a week. I was like, oh, this is what you were talking about.
Yeah,
like
I hear that the most after I clean up the house and I check back. That's probably the number one thing I get most. I having crazy dreams.
Right. So it's really cool things. Okay, when can you come over? That's from Laura. Hi, Laura. I love you. You guys.
We have an opening Thursday actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
So first come, first serve. Basically, Laura, call now. Text now. Sam, who just commented right above you, is the wife of Ryan. So message her or message at Test My Home. Physical side effects, we spoke about that. Is it possible to block the harmful side effects while people are using it? That's a great question.
It's kind of like kind of analogy is like a swimming pool. It's kind of like if you're in the water, if you're in the fields, if you're being submersed by it, the only really way to get out of it is to get out of the pool, to turn off the sources. At an extreme end, you can shield yourself with a lot of clothing, but you've got to pretty much cover everything. Or when you're sleeping, you can sleep in a bed canopy or a Faraday cage. But otherwise, these frequencies are coming at us from every direction, at all frequencies, at all angles, at all powers, and so it's impossible to neutralize or deactivate these frequencies. It's just not physically possible.
So there you go. So not really. So what can we do to lower our levels in our homes? Switch everything off in distance, like 20 feet at least from your things. Put it in airplane mode. Make sure Bluetooth is off, Wi-Fi is off, cell phone searching is off. Are there any good questions there that you want to answer while I go through this?
Well, there's a good one that I get a lot. How do I get my husband on board? He thinks it's all crap.
You get a divorce.
That's a hard one.
I'm just kidding.
Actually, I get that a lot. Usually, I was telling you that in this whole time I've been doing this, I've only had 2 males call to schedule an appointment.
Oh, what?
Females, yeah. Yeah.
Did you tell me that? Maybe you were telling Tristan while I was.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And even out of when I do go to assessments, even just a handful of those where the guys are fully into it and interactive.
Why are women so woke? Like, why are we just so smart and amazing?
I think you're just more intuitive.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
There's so many good men out there. I'm sorry, I don't. But I feel like women really push they are comfortable pushing the boundaries on these things.
Yeah.
And I think that's really awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe it's, I don't know, for me it's like, I don't care if I radiate myself, but if I'm radiating my kids, I have a big problem with that. So maybe it's like this mother intuition. I don't know. I have no idea, but good job, ladies.
Yeah, to answer that question, how, I'm not sure yet. That's a good question. I think, you know, and unfortunately, the guys that I have been, that are involved, they're into it, is because they've got sick, because they are electrosensitive and they understand the necessity of this.
Okay, we're getting to the questions about defender shields and harmonizers. So if you didn't see my stories yesterday, if you happen to be local and you have one of these, so actually I'm wearing my friend Katie's bracelet, which has Amazonite in it, and apparently it's supposed to block EMFs. We're gonna try it right now because, okay, so we're in extreme. How's the best way to test this?
Well,
just
I'd probably better get my more accurate meters.
Okay.
This is a $150 meter. I have a couple $1,000 meters that are calibrated that would be a little more sensitive.
And you have to like recalibrate them, right?
Yeah.
Like he has to like send them off to get them recalibrated. Okay, so we'll do a different video where we're measuring.
But just the short answer, those they don't work and they're scams. But if they make you feel better, go for it. You know. So there's some cool jewelry. Some of the pendants, they look cool.
Placebo's really great.
Yeah.
You explain it like, let's say somebody comes up to you and says, I'm going to put a sticker on your chest that's this big, and then I'm going to push you in a pool and you're not going to get wet. But then
that's a good example, yeah.
You told me that back in
I
December,
like that.
so that was his great analogy. Then you get pushed in the pool and you come out and you're like, but I got wet. And they're like, well, you're wearing that sticker. Like, you shouldn't have gotten wet. This is so weird. So that's what they're kind of like, which is why if you're local and you have one of these, like if you have the cell phone case and you will let us borrow it for a couple days, and then we want to do like a live like video recording where we're showing you like these are the different, like the 3 different meters. We're testing electric, we're testing magnetic, we're testing radio frequency, and these are our results. I think that would be a really cool experiment. I don't have any of those. I have a few things like the oysters and the Raditech, which is like $600 by the way, and my family has bought like 3. And so when Ryan came and he's like, no, that doesn't really do anything. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I see
Are
these.
you sure?
I see these a lot. I'd say at least half of the assessments I do, they've invested some money in, and I've seen them all. I've seen everything you can think of under the moon. And I'll take a little time and I'll show them and I'll test, and then they explain to them. They understand. They feel bad to spend money. I feel bad. I don't like to see people wasting their money for no reason, and also thinking that they're being protected when they're not.
Well, and for $600, you could pay him to come and test your home.
Yeah, we could do some real.
A few days.
We could have some real
Not
results.
a few days, a few hours. Sorry, not a few days. That'd be a lot more money. But it's worth every freaking penny because I can sleep well at night knowing that I'm protecting my kids the best way I know how. And because it really is like invisible demons, right? Like you know they're there, but you don't know how dangerous they are. I remember when you first did the first testing in your home, in our home. And it was like all the chemicals and stuff. I'm like, nah, like we don't have allergies, we don't have blah, blah, blah. But then when it came to the EMFs, I was like shaking because I'm like, I don't know how bad this is going to be. I know they're bad, but I don't know how bad. And I remember one of my big aha moments was whenever I would, hi babe.
I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay, go tell daddy. Go tell daddy. And so she like walked past Tristan to tell me that. I remember when you came and I was like, well, when I put Satori to bed and I watch like something on YouTube or I'm on Instagram, I put my phone out here. And he was like, that's not doing anything. And I'm like, but it's not here, it's out here. And he's like, no, you need like 20 feet. And that just like, that was like heart-wrenching because of the amount of hours that I have spent blasting her with my phone, watching videos, watching movies, watching Instagram, listening to podcasts. So one thing you guys can do if you're nursing moms and you spend a lot of time like putting kids to bed or whatever, download them to your phone first and then switch off Wi-Fi. Download your podcasts first, switch off Wi-Fi. Download your videos, download your movies, and then switch off then put your phone on airplane mode. That way you're not blasting them, all right? It's now saved to your device and you're watching it straight from your device versus it's streaming and pulling that radio frequency to your phone.
Yes. I have some more questions.
Go, go, go.
Okay, this person asks, we're looking at the low Wi-Fi eco router. what do I think about that? So we actually sell that. That's a good option for people that cannot get away from Wi-Fi, that they have to have Wi-Fi, they don't want to hardwire their home and get rid of the Wi-Fi. It's a router that you could buy some firmware from Europe, and you can program it into the router. And what it will do is you can vary the power. You can go in the settings and change the power so that if you don't need it to blast, through your house and the neighbor's house, if you just need it to go 100 feet, you can turn it down. And what it also does is if you're not using it, it will go into sleep mode. So if you haven't been using it for an hour, it'll turn off and go into sleep mode, and it'll wait for you to log on from your phone or your computer, and then it will start connecting again.
Would that work here?
Yeah, no, because you have the hotspot. Yeah, but that is an option they say it lowers the exposure about 90% by
awesome.
Using those.
And it works?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, they're about $300.
Can they get it from your website?
Yeah, we have them on our website.
So testmyhome.com/shop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a great alternative.
Yeah. I got another question here.
Charging my phone on... I didn't realize I shouldn't be charging my phone on my nightstand. Never do that, guys. Charge it in your bathroom, charge it in your kitchen. I thought airplane mode was sufficient. No, it's not.
I got a question.
So there you go. Yes.
Are heating pads dangerous to use?
Oh,
so I do speaking events for people and training and stuff, and one of the experiments that I do, or things, I take a heating pad and I wrap it up and I measure the body voltage. So I have you hold a voltmeter, and we measure your body voltage, and then I turn the heating pad on and we measure the body voltage. And you can actually induce a couple volts of power and pretty high amperage going through your body, inducing current from the heating pads. So heating pads are very dangerous. That you'll actually produce current through your body from heating pads.
Sorry guys. I'm having go tell Daddy. Go tell Daddy. If you guys are interested when Ryan comes out again, do you guys want like a live class and demonstration? Like, show me thumbs up so we can see if there would be, or heart things, I don't know. But if you guys want to, I think a live demonstration would just be awesome.
Yeah, because I have a lot of tricks and things that I do, and I show it so you really understand what this is doing to your body physically. And I'll bring you up from the crowd, and we'll experiment on you, and
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah. And we show body voltage, we show induced current, we show magnetic fields, electric fields, radio frequencies.
That would be really cool.
We go into chemicals and stuff, and air quality if we want to. I mean, we can talk about all kinds of stuff.
So I've noticed when we talk about a lot of things, people are left overwhelmed. So we'll do
one
an
thing at a
EMF
time.
class, and
Yeah.
then the next time he's in, we'll talk about chemicals, and then the next time he's in, we'll keep talking about these little things. I think in person is just really cool because we can see the machines.
Mm-hmm.
On the podcast, we can't see these things. You guys couldn't see this on a podcast. So let's do a live thing. Can you record it or show the guys in our... Yes! So we will do that. When he does his classes, we will record it as well so you can show all your men's. You can show them all the things, okay? Because we'll bring out the big guns.
That's a good question here.
Yes.
So methods and products to use in new construction to reduce EMF.
Good question.
So this is a good one. This is another part of our business that we do, is we do consulting for new construction. And there's a lot of stuff that we can do that's actually cheap, that doesn't cost any more money to wire your home so that you don't have to deal with the electric fields and the magnetic fields. And so yes, there is a lot of stuff that you can do. And just a couple hours, if you're building a new home, give me an hour to talk to your electrician, that's all we need, and I'll have them wire up your home so you won't have to worry about a lot of the electric fields and the magnetic fields. And then we'll also put the hard wiring in so that you don't have to rely on Wi-Fi or a lot of the radio frequency type devices.
So, fun little story if this happens. So, a lot of you guys know that we are under contract to buy part of a building here in Orem and move our clinic. And we kind of let that building go, but it's introduced itself to us again. So we're going to see if we're going to buy it again. And then Ryan is going to tell us how to make the clinic EMF free and friendly. And so when you come into our clinic, it's going to be healthy, non-toxic, low EMF. It's going to have all the bells and whistles, and it's going to look really, really sharp versus what some people call our backdoor hyperbarics right now. So it's going to look a lot better. And then hopefully by October. So let's do a couple more questions. How about our wireless Bluetooth headsets? We already spoke about that in the beginning of the live. They're bad. It's like taking two cell phones and putting it on your head.
I got a good one here. The single best thing you can do to start right now, and that is put your phone on airplane mode at night and turn devices off when you're not using them. That right there is going to save your exposure a lot.
There you go.
So just turn it off, unplug it when you're not using it.
Hopefully this was helpful, guys. You learned, like this was a great 1 hour powwow. How do people contact you?
Testmyhome.com.
Okay, and there's like a contact request form there.
We have a lot of educational stuff. You can buy a lot of products. We've got links to podcasts. We've got all the goodies.
All those things. All right, guys. So how bad?
Hi, Mom.
So, is your mom in here?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how bad are solar panels on your roof? Let's do that last one.
Okay, solar panels themselves aren't bad. It's the conversion of the solar power, the DC power, to the AC, the upstep converter. Those converters are usually made poorly, and they put a lot of interference and dirty electricity on the line. You can buy cleaner, more expensive ones, but you'll have to look for those, and they'll brag about them if they're clean, EMI-wise, they're dirty electricity.
Okay, so to summarize, 5G, don't stress too much about it because there's worse things in your world like your cell phone in your hand. AirPods are the devil, so get rid of them because they're so bad. The protective little device things they're not that effective, so create distance between yourself and your cell phones, like 20 feet at least, okay, if you're not using it. Put things on airplane mode, all right, guys? That's really important, but make sure you're doing it properly so that it's like on airplane, but Wi-Fi isn't still blasting, okay? And then what were some other takeaways? I think those are like the main ones. The other ones are a little bit more complex and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, did you guys find that helpful? Thank you. Kate, hi. So many hi friends. Okay, you guys pray to the Instagram gods that this is gonna be saved. Because I haven't had that luck lately. So I'm gonna end this now. Thank you, Ryan.
See ya.
He is the man. He's taught me all I know, which is not a lot. But not that he's a bad teacher. It's just because there's still a lot for me to learn. So I didn't mean anything by that. I've learned a ton actually. So okay, how do I find someone like you in my area? Which area are you in? I'll wait for this. But how do people find? How do people find people like you?
Utah, Idaho, you can get a hold of me, we'll figure it out. If you're in other areas, you can go to the Building Biology website, the Institute for Building Biology, and click on the top, it says find an expert, and you can go to your area. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of people like me doing this right now. Not yet. Hopefully, we'll get more people doing this.
Okay, so no one in Houston.
I don't know anybody in Houston, unfortunately.
But get your friends to get their house tested, and then he'll fly out.
Yeah, get a group of people together, and we'll line up a week's worth of assessments, make it worthwhile. We'll come out and do it.
Come to California. So I bet there's a bunch of people from California that want to do this. There's gotta be, right? Phone consultations. Yes. Thanks, Sam. So
we do phone consultations, and we have meters that we can mail out to you, and then I get on a Zoom call or Skype, and we walk through an assessment.
Clever. Yeah. That's really clever. Oh my gosh, I like that. All right, guys, until next time, thanks for watching. Pray. Do all the things to make let's hope this saves. Bye.